This script is a collection of funny storylines from Dunder Mifflin, focusing on Michael Scott and the employees of the Scranton office. The episode begins with Michael eating an entire family-sized chicken pot pie for lunch and immediately falling asleep at his desk. His co-workers decide to let him sleep until the end of the workday. They even plan to change his computer and manipulate his watch, so he thinks it is already time to go home. Michael eventually wakes up and leaves, completely unaware of what happened. Michael later calls a hotel in Vancouver because he believes he has a reservation during the Olympics. Unfortunately, the hotel has no record of his booking. After some confusion, they finally find his reservation, but Michael decides to cancel it anyway. He is annoyed by the hotel staff and jokingly complains that Canada is not living up to his expectations. Meanwhile, the Utica branch tries to recruit one of the Scranton employees with an offer for more money. The employee considers the opportunity, creating some tension because the Scranton office may lose another valuable worker. Michael also creates a ridiculous plan to fake his presence at the office. He builds a dummy that looks like him and attaches it to a string and a remote-controlled recording of himself snoring. The idea is that if someone opens the door, the dummy will move and the recording will make it sound as though Michael is sleeping inside. He wants to use this trick so he can secretly leave work early. Another storyline revolves around the office's softball season. Andy creates a highlight video called an Epic Fails compilation, but most of the clips aren't really failures. Instead, he uses whatever footage he can find and adds embarrassing commentary. The employees become increasingly annoyed when perfectly normal moments are labeled as failures. The office also becomes obsessed with push-ups. Someone challenges the employees to do more than 25 push-ups in order to earn the privilege of leaving work early. Everyone tries to beat the challenge, and Stanley surprisingly becomes extremely competitive. The scene turns into a ridiculous office competition. There is also a humorous storyline involving Jan's pregnancy. Jan is preparing to give birth, and Michael becomes completely obsessed with helping her, despite not actually being the father. He imagines himself as an important part of the baby's life, and even prepares for the birth in his own bizarre way. His co-workers have to deal with his dramatic behavior while Jan goes through labor. Another recurring joke involves Recyclops, a character Dwight created for the office's recycling program. What starts as an innocent environmental mascot becomes increasingly ridiculous every year. Dwight develops an elaborate backstory in which Recyclops fights pollution, suffers tragedies, and eventually becomes a villain who wants revenge against humanity. The employees treat the character like a real office tradition. The script also touches on Diwali, an important Hindu festival. Kelly invites the office to a Diwali celebration, and the employees try to understand what the event is about. Michael, as usual, misunderstands parts of the tradition and explains it in an awkward and overly simplified way. Meanwhile, the employees deal with office relationships and personal lives. Andy becomes interested in Angela and asks someone to help him get closer to her. He believes his attempts at impressing her should be working, but his co-workers aren't convinced. Another storyline involves Jim and his girlfriend wanting him to spend more time outside the office. Jim would rather stay home and watch sports, while his girlfriend encourages him to go out and enjoy himself. Michael also gets into trouble when he meets an English employee and starts doing inappropriate impressions and accents. He attempts to entertain everyone with different characters, but doesn't realize how awkward and inappropriate some of his jokes are. Another comedic scene involves Michael attending a magic camp. He becomes determined to perform an impressive escape trick involving ropes and chains. He insists that nobody should help him because that would ruin the magic. However, he secretly has a backup plan involving a hidden key, showing that his confidence isn't quite as strong as he pretends. Finally, the office discovers that it has a $4,300 budget surplus that must be spent before the end of the day, or it will be deducted from next year's budget. Michael doesn't understand the financial concept at first, so someone explains it to him using a lemonade stand example. Michael eventually understands that the company needs to spend the extra money rather than lose it from next year's budget. They begin considering what the office should purchase with the surplus. Overall, the script combines workplace comedy, office politics, ridiculous schemes, relationships, money problems, and Michael Scott's constant attempts to make himself the center of attention. The employees are often trying to do their actual jobs, while Michael creates unnecessary chaos, resulting in a series of awkward, exaggerated, and funny situations.